Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Post-Apocalypse World. This is episode number 6. It is, what's the date today? It is December the 29th, 2016. The world has not ended yet, so here we are. Here we are at the tail end of 2016, right in the middle of a very intense Apocalypse World campaign. I thought for some reason, let me just share briefly with you here. Let me get out of your way. Let me shrink myself here. You can take a look at my prep business. So let's talk for a moment about this campaign and Apocalypse World campaigns generally. So with Apocalypse World, usually a campaign runs its course. You can watch, you can track this happening. The campaign runs its course from rising action to the plateau of the campaign into its sort of denouement, and then one of two things will happen. As you're coasting into that denouement, either people will make new characters or they will make their second characters, and the game will kind of branch and split off. And the main thing that you were doing will fade away, and the new branch will grow. And these kinds of things tend to happen at a predictable time in each game. Now, every campaign's a little bit different, right? Every game will run this course slightly differently depending on the timing. But I often find that pacing is controlled in Apocalypse World by the aggressiveness of the GM to demand rolls and the players angling for rolls that give them advances. Because what advances the game of Apocalypse World, what moves it from beginning to middle to end, isn't the plot. It's not even really the countdown clocks, because the countdown clocks are reliant on fictional content to make them change. What happens with Apocalypse World is advances. Advances are what push the game forward, because the opening act of the game exists in the space where the players have the basic moves and their character moves. The characters expand laterally with those moves, and they figure out who they're going to be. The game reaches its climax and then begins immediately to sort of taper out when you start to advance into that space where you get the second tier of moves, right after your 5th or 6th advance. That's when the game gets weird, right? Because the players get more and more ability to enact heavy change. So, the general arc of this stuff, if you're playing by the book, is about 10 to 12 episodes. 10 to 12 sessions of a game, if you're playing for 4 hours, and people are playing at the pace they normally do. Now, I'm playing with people who kind of breakneck Apocalypse World, who take highlights very seriously, and who wrangle as many advances as they can get, right? We've hit that point maybe earlier than I expected, right? We're at the midpoint of a usual campaign. This is episode 6, and I can already feel it kind of boiling over, and I wonder where we're going to be in 4 or 5 episodes. But you know what's great is I don't have to plan for that shit. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry. I get to do one thing, and that's play to find out what happens. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make some prep so that we can provide the players with things to interact with, so that we can find out what happens in the world. Now, because we have a new character, and because Brace took a sudden jump to a new type of character as well, I've got a lot of notes from last session. I did a lot of looking down and writing. So I'm going to kind of clear up some of the things that don't interest me or whatever anymore, and then we're going to fill in some new stuff, because there are new threats to be processed. So, we put some things on like notice. We put some things on notice to say, okay, so maybe this isn't important or interesting anymore. And I think that some things have become more important and some things have become less. So Templetown, as a thing, I feel like is pretty doomed, honestly. I feel like at this point, like Bill has locked himself away. They have resources. They have water and food and guns. And it's really more of like a cache waiting to be accessed. They've gone into full-on defensive turtle mode. And I think the only thing that can overcome them is either Jeanette and the wolves, and some combination of that and Rolf Ball's new thing, which I think we're going to rename soon. So really, this is sort of static. This Temple Town is no longer, it's no longer really a threat. So I'm thinking I'm going to clear it. I think we're just going to kill it. We're going to get rid of Temple Town as a thing. The temple itself obviously continues to be interesting. The well is poisoned. This represents the temple in and of itself, minus the influence of the water bearer, minus the influence of Brace, right? Like, this is the temple as an object, not as a symbol of a PC's interests. So it's gonna continue doing its thing. And I wanna write some new stakes questions for it. So we're gonna clear that. The ghosts are no longer in the well, and the water cult is now split. So we need to kind of re-envision what the temple is about, right? We've kind of hit a weird, like, this is almost like there was the mid-season break, and now we're coming back into like kind of a new season. I'm gonna need to make some new threats, so we'll come back. Obviously, the affliction is gone, right? It's no longer about the afflicted area of the temple. It's about a whole other thing. Jeanette, this is starting to boil up, right? If you were watching the last episode, which you should be if you're here, but if you haven't seen it, yeah, this was me hinting that the scouting party has been seen. This will be the end of season big threat unless they nip it in the bud before we get to 9. So we'll just keep letting this percolate. Sunset's operation. You know, we put this one on the like, I don't really care about this thing. Like, the whole game has sort of shifted to be about the temple. So I think we can clear Sunset too. Like, I'm not that into Sunset as a threat. She's still around, but she goes back into the kind of general populace of threateningness, not as a particular idealized thing. You can see a lot of change happening right now. The Dying Grounds as a threat, good, useful, probably going to be late game. Really more focused on Nipperkin as an avatar of the Dying Grounds. We'll talk about Nipperkin in a second. Rolf Ball's legacy, still a thing. This will probably eventually become Trench's gang. If something can happen between Trench and Scab. I think Junior's going to live. We're going to let Junior live here. And I'm going to change this stakes question to, how will Huron broker peace? Because that seems to be Huron's plan, right? To put Trench at the top, keep Scab sorted out, and that sort of thing. So I'm feeling good about this. I feel like this clock has been changed. And actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's clear the clock, because it's no longer going to be about that necessarily. This new clock is changing, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I don't think open warfare is going to happen anymore. So that's a thing. You know, I made a question last time about Hit Me Up becoming a landscape. I'm not actually interested in Hit Me Up. If the players are, that's cool, but for right now, I'm kind of okay with it just being Dice's graveyard. So that's fine. Now, Nipperkin is sort of hugely important to Ferris's part of the game, and it ties us to the Dying Grounds by way of a person. You know, I think Nipperkin is becoming important. Nipperkin may just die if I know the way that these people play this game. But also the thing is, like, I have to change some things about the way that I'm coming at Nipperkin, because the players don't feel super comfortable with some of the like more body horror aspects. So we're going to need to quickly get through that part. I think we've kind of moved on, and we're going to talk about Nipperkin becoming cybergenetic. We need cybergenesis to occur, right? Because you remember at the last session, I mentioned that Nipperkin's body is trying to become something more like what Ferris is. And surprise, Ferris is a android, cyborg, replicant, something like that, synthetic person. So we're learning that that's a thing that grows from within you. There's some kind of nanite process that can like mess with you and become that. I'm thinking Nipperkin is to Ferris what the human guy from District 9 is to the bugs, only he's becoming a robot. So, you know, that kind of thing. So we'll figure out how they're all connected soon enough. We'll come back and we'll dig through these, but the new shit still very real. Even though stuff with Rolf Ball is changing, this drug is still going to be a problem for the community. That's very definitely a thing. So, all right, let's look at the new threats that I need. So I need to create a new threat for. I wrote them down. So Tynant has a gang now. Tynant's gang has sort of stopped being the water cult and has become something else. So I'm going to change this to Tynant's gang. And we're going to talk a little bit about them and their deal. I also need to create a threat down here that is the Cult of Ghosts. So there's the Cult of Ghosts. And then I was thinking about making Hit Me Up a threat, but I don't think Hit Me Up needs to be a threat now. Yeah, I think that's that. Oh, I do need to make one more threat because I think they're separate, and that is they're a very small gang. And these guys are Ferris's protectors. So these are the three goons that are protecting Ferris from protecting and looking after Ferris. So we'll get to them. So let's figure out Tynant's gang first. Now Tynant's gang are religious like fighters. Basically, I described them as being like his Fedaykin, right? Or their Fedaykin. So they're like, these are the armed contingent of the former law-focused well worshippers. They're a lawful neutral gang that focuses on Tynant's authority as a thing. Not even the authority as... So this is the thing. That what they desire is order. They desire law and order. They follow Tynant because it is what is done. They're not necessarily super religious, but they know that Tynant has authority. And what I want to do here, the goal of this threat is to disarm the whole kind of like communistic aspect of the temple and be like, no, what we care about is your word as law. And I want to try to prop Tynant up as a sort of bloody dictator, right? I want to give Tynant the ability to use these warriors not as a force of good in the world, but like they want to. I'm basically trying to make Tynant into Paul Atreides, right? They're going to go out and do war for Tynant, and Tynant is going to have to assert direct control, which is a thing that he's not necessarily in a position to do or doesn't want to do. I'm finding where the characters are out of control, where they don't have control, and I'm pushing. So let's talk about Tynant's gang. They're brutes. And I think that they are enforcers. I think that makes the most sense. So let's talk about that. So they are brutes and they're enforcers. And the impulse of a group of enforcers is to victimize anyone who stands out. Okay. So we have a few names for some of these folks, right? Because Lissa, which was Tynant's eyes from back when. We also have, let me look at my list here. See if I wrote down any other ones. Barber and Lang. Okay. Lissa, Barber, Lang, and then what it was about 40 others. It's a big gang. All right. Will we see Emperor Tynant become a reality? Right? Like, this is about the gang saying, like, you have to take control. You have to law and order. They're going to push for the they're going to push for the takeover of Templetown. They're going to aggressively broker for war. They're violent. They want control. They want to victimize anyone who's not part of their thing, anyone who doesn't follow the law. So let's put together a countdown, because Andrew almost always gets judgment for these things. Let me just double check to see if they have tags that I need to make a note. Let's just see here in my notebook. No, they're about 40, 2 harm, unruly, medium, 1 armor. Okay. All right. So let's see. The temple is secured. I'm going to zoom in so y'all can see what I'm writing here. So this countdown clock, we're going to have the temple is secured will be the first one. Let's see. Those who broke the law are punished. Right, so what I want to do here is this countdown is all going to be Tynant doing things that reinforces what they want. Okay. And then lastly, war is demanded of Tynant. And then I think after war is demanded, Tynant has 2 choices. Tynant can either go along with it or not. If Tynant doesn't go along with it, the unruly gang will go and do... I think attacks on Templetown occur either way. Sanctioned or not. I think after that, war with Trench, question mark, because we don't know what's going to be Trench, but those... I think, let's see, war with the drug... castle, I don't know, like worth the drug folks. We'll leave that there. And then lastly, let's say Templetown is conquered, and then the great jihad can continue across the galaxy. I mean, yes, Mads, war were declared. Oh yeah, that's a good call. Kingpin, nice, thanks, Mads. All right, so these things will occur, and I think we're pretty close to having the temple secure as it is, right? So if Tynant enacts punishment, that'll push this clock along. One of my favorite things to do in Apocalypse World is guess what the players will do and make a countdown clock contingent on that, so that when they do those things, success or fail, you can be like, check, check, thank you, check, yes, good, you fool, you've done it, check, etc. So now, if Tynant, this is the thing, like they can still stop the attack on Templetown. Tynant will have this moment here to do something about it. And if they fail, or if they choose not to, then we roll on to 9, but it is still stoppable. After 9 o'clock, this unruly gang will do these other things. We don't know how they're going to go, but that's how it'll be. Okay. So this is Tynant's gang. Lissa, Barber, Lang, 40 others, unruly bastards. So the temple itself, now this is complex, and I want to change the temple to the well, right? Because it's really about this ancient burial psychic tomb. And I think the thing here is we need to change up. It's connected to some other things. We have to do some detail work on this. So it's now connected to Tynant's gang. The well itself is connected to the Cult of Ghosts. Oops, get out of here, Google. Nobody likes you. That's not true. Cult of Ghosts. There we go. It's also connected to I think that's probably it for right now. Okay. So I have some stakes questions. I have some questions about this. Like, for example, let's give me some more room here. What does it mean that Brace is the water now? Like, how's that work? What is that about? So we've reached the point where the well is poison. So how does the well's poison work, right? I think we need a custom move. I think we need a, like, when you drink from the well, because the well is bad now. the well is real bad now. So let's maybe do that. I think we can change some of these points too. We know that the well is poison and it kills instead of heals. I think these are the same. So I think, and I don't think it's connected to the ghosts anymore. We've taken the ghosts out of the well. So we need something new here. What do you think? What do we think of this? Like, the ghosts are what gave the well its magical healing properties. But then the ghosts got all corrupted and then they left and they've got some other shit going on. So yeah, the well is kind of changed. And we're talking about just the water itself. It's been pulled apart spiritually. Right, it's like dirty corpse water. So let's talk about what happens if you drink it. Because we got that and we've got this well thing to do. So when you drink the water from the dead well, roll plus hard? Cool? Weird? Roll plus something. On a 10 plus, it's just, let's give me some more space. It's just bad water. No harm, but it's not good for you either. On a 7 to 9, choose, we should make one of these like something bad happens. Choose one. On a miss, both. So like one of these, like, you just pick a bad thing. Take, well, I don't know, take 3 harm AP. Or, the poison, let's see. Basically I want, like, you take harm and, oh, I like that. I like that, Umbra. We're gonna do that. So we'll get to it in a second. So it's like you drink it and it just like fucks you up physically, or it does something really bad over time. Yeah, I want it to like either damage you like immediately now and do like a bad thing, or like hurts you and burns at you over time. So I guess the poison gets into your blood. So you pick one. And I really like this. Roll plus hex with brace. And we'll change this later if we need to. And then I want to, I also want to make another move. When you drink the water from the dead well and your brace, nothing happens. There. So brace has like ghost well fucked up water immunity. Yeah, and I'll determine what the poison gets into your blood means, and it could mean all kinds of stuff. Yeah, psychically conducive bad times. So let's talk about what happens here with the well. So it becomes poison, and then, I mean, I guess like the temple suffers D harm water. And then the town, because they sell some supplies, but they're next. The town suffers deharm, water, and then no water left for anyone. So it's like the bad water just gets out and it starts to dry up, and eventually no one can drink it because it's only poison. Okay. Now we've hit 9 o'clock. You can't fix the well, right? These things can be guided, but they won't, you can't fix them. So shit's just gonna get worse. They all goofed. And then let's also say what how is, here we go. How is the well and the dying ground connected? How are? Because I think that maybe the well is poisoned in part by like groundwater from the dying ground. Like I think there's some bad shit that connects the two of them. I think they're both kind of holy spaces in that way. Okay, all right. Bad shit's gonna keep happening. Good. All right, so Ferris's protectors. Let's move on to this threat. This is a fun threat because it's fairly simple. So these nerds are okay. So these guys, Ferris's protectors, they are they're a family, which is a kind of brute. Of course. Why wouldn't it be? And then their impulse is to close ranks, protect their own. Oh yeah, Nipperkin's gonna get all up in that water. He's gonna drink it. It's gonna empower him gloriously. The three members of this cast are Doom, Cobra, and Fluffy. So Doom, a cool cucumber. We got Cobra, a dangerous addict. And we got Fluffy, a tryhard. These are Ferris's new best friends, in addition to, of course, Nipperkin. So the stakes here are, how much pressure will they put on Ferris to perform, right? Because Ferris has got to make drugs, because he promised. And then also, what's the penalty for not doing what Trench said to do? Right? Like, what happens if Ferris dicks around? All right, and then connected threats are obviously the excuse me, Kingpin, whoever that ends up being, and I think that's it. And they don't have a countdown yet. They're there to create a bound around Ferris, and we'll get to that. I don't think they have a countdown or any custom moves yet. I just wanted to make sure that they were their own indicated threat on the board. All right, let's talk about the Cult of Ghosts. So the Cult of Ghosts, they are technically, I mean, here's the thing. Most of them are dead. Like, almost all of them are dead. So I guess we can start there. What's this guy's name? The OG, the ghost of, what's his name? Why can't I remember this guy's name? He's been around forever. Deerfield, that's his name. All right, Deerfield, reborn. The spirits of about 20 dead folks. The ancient ghosts of the well. Big cast. So the great thing about this is that these folks, Tynant's gang, these folks, they have growth, right? They have plus growth, and that's awesome because when they die, when people die, they get to be bigger. So these are plus augury, plus growth, plus judgment, plus violence. Perfect. So when these get rolled at the beginning of a session, I can just say like they murder people or people join them and commit suicide, and like they just get bigger and bigger. And they're ghosts, so it's hard to get rid of them. All Tynant did was free them of their bodies. They exist, and for the most part, I think only Brace can kind of see and interact with them, but they're able to like move through the world and do things. They're just a lot weirder. So I guess here, what does the Cult of Ghosts want from Brace? Right? We got to give them a desire. Also, like, can they be reconciled with Tynant's gang? Do they have the power to repair the well? No, they can't, because it's past 9. So do they have the power to create a new well? That's maybe the most important thing. Okay, great. And then how long before being the vessel destroys Brace? Because that's significant as well, and that'll be our countdown clock. So for the countdown clock for these things, well, let's figure out the Cult of Ghosts first. So the cult is, what kind of thing should they be? An affliction, brutes, a landscape, a terrain, or a vehicle? They're not a vehicle. I think they might be an affliction. I think that's the thing. Yeah, I think they're an affliction. It isn't a person, it's something threatening that people are doing or what's happening or that has come to be. I think that they're a sacrifice of life. So the Cult of Ghosts is an affliction. Sacrifice. Yeah, that seems pretty cool. Pretty into that. Okay. And then their impulse is to leave people bereft. In this case, bereft of their lives. Good. Okay. All right. So the countdown here is going to be mostly like Brace and the vessel situation. So the well is drunk up by Brace. The maelstrom starts. Basically what I want here is for this thing to be like, you've taken Brace, you've taken the well into yourself, and now you're full up of its power. And you have the control of your queen of the ghosts, and then what? I want eventually for Brace to like dissolve into the well, right? To become one with the maelstrom and sort of disintegrate. So I don't know, maybe the first physical signs of change, and then visions of the maelstrom. Basically, you're starting to kind of like lose track of reality. Okay, and then Brace begins to bleed weirdness into the world. So like a constant broken augury roll. And then Brace leaves zones of permanent weird behind. Oh my god, this is awesome. So Brace is going to start creating like those zones that we had in the Dampocalypse. And then Brace becomes a permanent rift, and there's no more Brace, right? Brace and the Maelstrom sort of become one. The well comes gushing forth. Oh yeah, no, this is good. That's a good one, Trist. Okay, so Brace's power awakens the beasts of the dying grounds. Oh yeah, that's real good. I like that. So we get to keep Brace around, but Brace like becomes a beacon. Wicked. Oh yeah, that's super good. Okay, so the well is all drunk up now. So we're gonna go ahead and throw that down. Cool. All right, and that connects these two threats. So let's go ahead and do that. And that will create a threat triangle with Ferris, because Ferris and Nipperkin are connected there as well. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tress. That is a great idea. Jeanette and her gang, good. External threat, ready to roll in. Bite, bite, bite. Wolf, wolf, wolf. We're good. Okay. Empty threat there, empty threat there. Okay, so let's carry on down here with the dying grounds. So let's rejigger the dying grounds a little bit. So it's a breeding pit. We know these things. It's connected to the well. Well, actually, it's connected to the well by way of the ghosts. So the cult of ghosts. And it's connected to Nipperkin, who's like our messiah of cybergenesis. Okay, cool. So the description here is an ancient for machines of ages past. And I think what's happening here is awaken. Yeah, there we go. So this is our like sort of Cthulhuoid robot, like the old ones, these powerful giant. And I don't imagine them being like robots in the like car mechanic sense, you know, like assembling, like there's some of that. But I imagine them in like robots in the like Shadow of the Colossus sense, in the like alien sense, in that like they're reconstituted dead gods. They're not just robots, right? They're not even robots in the way that the synthetics like Ferris and soon Nipperkin are. Yeah, the beasts are being awakened. So let's start the countdown like sort of here, because I think a few things have already happened. So the Maelstrom chooses a prophet, which it has. And then the next thing will be the prophet undergoes cybergenesis, which is also the name of my sweet nightclub, Cybergenesis. So these are kind of connected clocks. This is a Venn diagram of clocks, right? In that as these things happen, more of these clock segments will get filled in. So when Nipperkin is done being cybergenetic, The next thing that has to happen is the power of the well to awaken the beasts. And then the age of machines begins. Like, this is like some like heavy fucking serious shit. Mass cybergenesis occurs. And then this countdown clock, this is a real serious clock, because at midnight, all human life is extinguished. We're just gonna go hard on this one. So, there we go. This is a real bad one. It's gonna get bad. This is like the apocalypse part 2, right? The first apocalypse, you thought that was bad. Here comes apocalypse 2, electric boogaloo. So the stakes question here is, can cybergenesis be prevented? And nextly, what side will Ferris fall on? Because Ferris is exempt from all this, right? Ferris doesn't... At some point, Nipperkin and Ferris are going to have a conversation where Nipperkin is like, join me, brother. Join me in the future. You know, you're already of the chosen race. Let us destroy all humans, right? Like, hey, baby, you want to destroy all humans? We're going to have our own civilization with robots and blackjack. So for me, that's the curious question. What side will Ferris fall on? And we've already got themes of mortification of the flesh, right? Like this, somebody pointed out in the last episode that this is a very like Cronenberg, this is a very Cronenberg sense of game world goings on, right? And that's very, very much what I want. I definitely want that kind of, you know, existence, Videodrome, like Crash to a certain degree, like machine and life colliding in eerily messy, sometimes erotic ways. So I'm all about that. I'm all about watching that happen. So, you know, cybergenesis is available for all. They simply need only to drink of that offered cup, so to speak. Things are tying together nicely. All right, carrying on. Rolf Ball. All I really need to worry about right now, my only real stakes questions are, how will Heron broker peace, and what will a Kingpin situation look like when it all shakes out? This has very much become Elf's threat to deal with, and I believe Elf has a plan. I think that a Skinner wanting something it means it's going to happen. So I'm really curious about how Scab and Heron interact. I'm wondering what Trench's final form looks like. Nipperkin and Heron, I think, are going to get along real well, right? Because Nipperkin works from the inside out to mortify the flesh and to become, you know, steel and copper and silicone. And then, and the sort of flip side of that is that Heron cuts away the flesh to reveal the true form underneath, right? Your inner spirit has no ears. Where you're going, you need no eyes. And then the two of them, I think Nipperkin and Heron can work together to make some beautiful things. And then obviously Ferris, as the chief craftsperson of the community, those intersections are going to be where all the kind of Cronenbergian stuff is going to start occurring. Yeah, exactly. Triss has got it. Trench has been trying to carve out his inner robot. He just hasn't received the sanctity of cybergenesis yet. Wait until Trench, and I guess that's going to be worth asking. Let's shrink these and give me some room for another stakes question. What will happen when Trench is offered The baptism of cybergenesis. I'm going to put it all in caps because it deserves it. Now I'm just thinking about that Johnny Cash song, when the man comes around. Only the man is a robot. All right, cool. And then Nipperkin, who I'm going to rename here Nipperkin, the prophet of beasts. Yeah, that sounds cool. Prophet of beasts. Pain addict. Friend to Tynant. Oh, friend to Tynant. He's unfixable. He's broken now. Cybergenesis has begun occurring. And I think the only stakes question here is, will Nipperkin survive to see the awakening? Right? Is a PC gonna ice poor Nipperkin before that happens? And I think Nipperkin still thinks that he's Tynant's friend, right? So Tynant's gang is a connected threat. This whole thing with Nipperkin is why Apocalypse World is so great, because this all happened from a choice that Dave made. So connected to Tynant's gang, connected to the Cult of Ghosts, connected to the Dying Grounds. Like, Nipperkin's kind of at the center of shit right now. All right, so we don't know yet, but it won't be pretty. So here's the thing. Let's figure out the deal here. So Nipperkin has come home wrong. I think that here, because he's not connected to. Yeah. Okay. Nipperkin offers brace. I want Nipperkin. Nipperkin needs an agenda, right? Nipperkin has power now. So who would Nipperkin go to first? I guess so. Nipperkin explains the future to Ferris. I mean, he's gonna become, if he dies, he'll become Nipperkin the Martyr, so it's fine too. Nipperkin offers Brace a taste of cybergenesis. And then his last act, maybe he will be martyred. Maybe he'll martyr himself. Sacrificed for the beasts. So like maybe something with him like undergoing his final like metamorphosis. Yeah, something like that. We'll figure out the details later. I like that. Okay. All right, and then we got our new shit. Everyone in town is addicted to it. I think people are starting to run out of water. Like this is worse. Like eventually everyone is going to go, like they're going to be addicted to this stuff. And I think that we're going to end up in this position where like no one has any water. They're all addicted to drugs, and then this other gang rolls in. Like this is all the bad stuff happening essentially. So it's the most mundane of all the threats, but its impulse is to saturate, and it's working. So I mean, let's just move it along. No one is stopping it. It's just getting worse. So this means the next thing to happen is going to be that we run out of shit, and this is where Ferris is going to need to come in and start cutting it better, making it stronger, that kind of thing. And Yeah, and I have a question here that I want to ask. So, does Ferris make it better? That I'm not so curious about that. I think that's going to happen. Um, how does the new shit change when the well water does? Because remember, it uses a ton of water. So fuck, the new shit is going to be all like disgusting poison, radiation, death fluid charged. So we're going to need to revisit this one in the future. Um, and then I guess unless Ferris fixes it, um, can I guess the other question is where does the drug sit in relation to the well water and to the baptism of cybergenesis? Because this is a thing that everybody is addicted to, and if Nipperkin can convince Ferris to make it, like, put the nanites in the drugs, fucking all kinds of chaos, right? That's why Nipperkin. Okay, I'm gonna make a note. Can Nipperkin convince Ferris to infect the drug supply with nanites? Because then, oh shit, everyone gets to arise from their biological ashes, right? Leap forth with your best mechanical self. Ooh, that's gonna be good. This is gonna be tasty. I'm excited about this. So, like, the drugs require all this water. The water has gone bad. They still have it. People are still drinking it for now, and they're using it to make drugs. So it's like the black water becomes part of the drug process. But also, can we use the drug as a vector for cybergenesis? And Nipperkin is going to convince Ferris, or try to convince Ferris, to do that. And then the transcendence begins as people start getting sick, losing limbs, growing mechanical like tumors. Oh, it's awesome. It's going to be so gross. I just have to find a way to describe it without being too gross about it. But I'll let you think about how gross it is. Just use your own minds. I'm going to pull a John Harper. Imagine the grossest thing you can think of that involves body horror and yourself turning into a machine from the inside out. And and then eventually the great dark gods will rise up from their graveyard and destroy all human life, but it's okay because you won't be human anymore. You'll be a robot man. Awesome. This is going to be great. This is going to be so great. I'm all about this shit. Good work, team. Thank you for your help. We are ready for tomorrow's episode, and it's just gonna get worse before it gets better. It may never get better at all, but that's how Apocalypse World works. I really like Apocalypse World because it lets me let my inner nihilist out to just run around where I'm like, everything's gonna go terrible, and there's nothing you can do. Ha 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 ha. Right? It feels good because it's not about that. It's not about success. Apocalypse World is not a game about winning. It's a game about struggling to make something among the ashes, struggling to like have anything, to cling to what's left. And that shit is great. So that's that. We're good for today's prep. So I hope you will join me tomorrow for the live enactment of the horrors that are to come. If not, you can catch us on YouTube every weekend. So that'll do. Thanks for coming, everybody, and we will see you again real soon. Bye for now.